Hello, everyone. How's it going? This is immigration attorney Mamita. I'm coming to you live to talk to you about immigration and to see the questions that may be on your mind tonight. Thank you so much for joining me. My name is Mamita Rahman. For those of you who don't know who I am an immigration attorney, and I have been doing this for about 12 years. And it is my pleasure to do the work that I do because I believe that immigrants make America great already. But immigration is a really tough and stressful process. You have a question about your case or about immigration in general, go ahead and pop it in the box right there, and I'll do my best to answer as many questions live in the time that I have tonight. And again, thank you for everyone who's joining me tonight. Today, I'm going to talk about a special question. Is your U.S. citizen spouse not letting you see your children? Is your spouse not letting you be with your kids or using the kids in a way against you so that you feel like you don't have any rights as an immigrant parent to see your kids, to have custody of them, or to have any say in the way that they are raised? If this is happening to you, I definitely want you to continue watching because I'm going to go ahead and give you a little bit more information about what your rights may be, and also to talk about the fact that if this is happening in your life and your spouse is not letting you see your kids, your spouse threatens to take the kids away from you, especially if your spouse is threatening to take your kids away from you and you're not even separated, you're not even in the process of divorce. These are serious issues that I think everyone has a right to understand what being an immigrant does in impacting these rights. All right. So let's go ahead and talk about that. And hello, I saw Emerson. Hi, Emerson. Hi, Anbu. Nice to see you all. Hi, Gabby. Nice to see you all. Okay. So let's talk about this. Is your U.S. citizen or green card holding spouse threatening to take the kids away from you, or are they threatening to not let you see your kids if you are separated? And in general, do you feel like you have no rights as an immigrant because of the fact that you have no papers? So when your spouse threatens you with these sorts of things, or your ex threatens you with these sorts of things, you feel like you have no power. And the thing is this, just because you're an immigrant doesn't mean that you don't have rights as a parent. Not having papers should not affect your ability to be able to see your kids, to be able to have custody, or to be able to have a say in how they are raised. So when your spouse makes those threats against you, please do understand that here in the U.S., having legal status is not a reason to deny you your parental rights. And if you are somebody who is without papers, but married to a U.S. citizen or to a green card holder who makes these sorts of threats against you, who continuously makes you feel scared that if you go against your spouse, if you don't do what they say, if you make them angry, that you will somehow lose the ability to be with your kids, to see them. It is not right, and you may be able to actually file for VAWA by yourself because this is a form of, it is a tactic of manipulation, it is a tactic of control and of emotional abuse to make you feel scared, and you may be able to get a green card by yourself without the help of your spouse. So I definitely want you to make note of this. And for those of you out there, we have many clients whose spouses have actually taken the kids away. If your spouse has even, if your citizen spouse has even taken your child out of the country, knowing full well that you can't even leave the country, that is definitely another reason to give us a call at 212-248-7907. I believe strongly in this because it is really, really difficult when you are a parent to live in fear of thinking that your kids might be separated from you. Okay. So write our number down, 212-248-7907. And especially if you know anyone who has had this happen to them, please share my number with them. Please share this video with them because they may have an option to at least start working on that legal status so that they feel secure and they feel confident to go to court and to ask for custody of kids and fight back against what is happening in their life. Okay. All right. So go ahead and let me know if you have any other questions. I have a question from Omotayo Olatunji. Can you explain more about the new I-485 form, Omotayo? That is going into effect on Friday, and there are a lot more questions on there. I can't really explain too much in depth, but I'll go ahead and do a video going into that form a little bit more in depth. I got my EAD card on behalf of an I-485 marriage-based petition. They mentioned the I-512 advanced parole. Does it mean that I can travel to my hometown? From Ashwani Grover. Ashwani, yes. If you have gotten back your work permit application, your work permit card, your EAD card, and it says at the bottom that it is valid, it serves as advanced parole, or it's valid for reentry, then that usually means that your advanced parole has been approved and that you may be able to travel internationally. But you really want to take care before you travel internationally to consult with your lawyer, to talk through any issues, because even though you may have the ability to travel, it may not always be a good idea to travel because there are different things that go into this calculation. So if you have advanced parole, make sure you discuss your individual case and your individual circumstances with your attorney before you step foot outside this country, okay? Because just because you have advanced parole does not mean that you will always be allowed back in. Usually there's no problems, but Customs and Border Patrol always retains ultimate discretion in admitting people back into the U.S. Con 1500 is some of the telephone number, please. Our phone number is 212-248-7907. And when you call us, you will be speaking with my team, and they will ask you some questions to see if we are able to give you a appointment for a case evaluation. After how many days of online updates for biometrics will I get the letter? So normally people will get their biometrics letter within a month of seeing the status update online. How much time is it taking generally for a work-based permit on a marriage-based green card? From Hina Imran. Hina, these are taking about, for marriage-based cases, work permits are actually taking pretty long. They're being processed on the longer side of the timeline, and it's taking anywhere between 8 to 10 months for a marriage-based green card work permit. How long after receiving your VAWA receipts do you receive your prima facie from Face Body Mind? Face Body Mind's Beauty Spa, after you get your VAWA receipts, I would say we are seeing about 4 months to get the prima facie these days. Can I have a WhatsApp number from Red of Fire? I don't have WhatsApp. And there are people out there who claim to be me and they say to WhatsApp them. I am not. I'm not on WhatsApp at all. Where is your law office, attorney? Which location? From Mario Mira Shaj. Mario, I only have one office right now, which is in New York City, and we are located at 111 John Street. Please don't show up without an appointment. We only do consultations or evaluations by phone or by video. Lisa MC says, I need help to bring my mother from Tijuana. She was deported and punished for 20 years. Can you help? From Lisa MC. Lisa MC, give us a call to evaluate your mother's case to see what her options are. We do need to take a look at the deportation letter if she still has it. If she doesn't have it, then we can order some searches of her file to see what might be out there on her case. If she has a punishment for 20 years, it may mean that she was deported for certain reasons that might be difficult to deal with, but we'll never know unless we, get the records and see what you have. So do give us a call, Lisa, 212-248-7907. Just because a person has been deported in the past does not mean that it's over. Sometimes it's just a matter of waiting a certain amount of time outside the U.S. before making additional applications. Other times, additional waivers have to be sought. But sometimes, depending on why a person may have been deported, sometimes the road is a lot more difficult, if not impossible. So Lisa, give us a call so we can evaluate your mother's case. Piroj, nice to see you. My son is a born American. We all live in Trinidad. How can my son sponsor me and my wife? What age can he sponsor? From Red of Fire. Red of Fire, your son needs to be at least 21 years old. Does my mom have to stay outside the country while I file her petition? From Dreekneek. Dreekneek, if your mother does not have a way of coming into the U.S. besides the petition that you're doing, then she probably can't come to the U.S. If she has a visit visa, she may be able to come visit. Whether she can stay, it really depends on each individual case. I have DACA and I'm about to get married. Would I have to leave the country and how long would that take? From Edgar. Edgar, good questions. I have a lot of DACA recipients who watch me who have DACA. They don't have a legal entry to the U.S. from that young age, but they're now married to a U.S. citizen. So do you have a way of legalizing your status to get the green card, even though you're DACA, without leaving the U.S.? And the answer is that if you don't have a legal entry, then you're basically going to have two options, maybe three options if you hold DACA status. So number one, if you have DACA, but you don't have a legal entry to the U.S., I would say if you can, file for advanced parole so that you can travel and get your passport stamped. And if you're married to a U.S. citizen, you can then use that entry to help you do that status for application for adjustment of status inside the U.S. But yes, you would need to leave for at least advanced parole on that. The second option is to start the process in the U.S., but you would have to do a waiver before you leave for unlawful presence, and then you go outside to your country's consulate for an interview. That also would require you to leave. But the third option, Edgar, is that if you are suffering any sort of problems in your marriage, especially if your spouse, gets controlling, has jealousy issues, tells you that you're an immigrant, and sometimes makes you feel like you are inferior or gives you other problems like that, then you may be eligible for something called VAWA, which is a self-petition that you can file for by yourself in the U.S. So even if you're married, if your spouse doesn't want to help you anymore, this is a really good option to look into. And this case would not require you to leave the United States, even if you have an illegal entry. So Edgar, you can give us a call at 212-248-7907. Are there certain essential job categories where your work permit can be expedited when it's up for renewal, such as working in childcare? Gabby, I don't believe that they are doing the expedite requests for certain work categories, but anyone who has any sort of emergency where they need to do an expedite is always free to request an expedite request if they can show proof of that emergency. But the good news to know is this: if you have a work permit right now and you file for a renewal, the government is actually giving out extensions of 2 years in most cases. So they know that they're taking forever to do renewal applications, which is why they're automatically giving a 2-year extension of work permit authorizations. So you can rest assured that you'll still have the legal ability to work even if your card has expired, as long as that renewal application gets filed in advance of the expiration date. How long does an EOIR appeal take? It can take anywhere from 1 to 2 years. Can you talk about the VAWA I-485 interview from Tachukwu Nafor? Sorry, I hope I pronounced that right. Tachukwu, so here's what happens during your VAWA green card interview. First of all, please understand that when you have been approved for VAWA, your case for VAWA has already been decided by the specially trained officers in the Vermont Service Center. And these are special officers that are the only officers in the entire country that actually have the authority to make a decision on your VAWA case, which means that they are the only people who are allowed to decide whether you did suffer extreme cruelty and or battery, and whether your marriage was made in good faith, and you have all the required prerequisites for a VAWA application. Once the VAWA is approved and you go for your interview is not actually for your VAWA case, but your interview is actually for your I-485 application, which is the application to adjust your status. And for this interview, the officer is a different immigration officer than the officer who decided your I-360 VAWA application. And this officer is specifically working at the field office. And these field officers are not allowed to ask you about the abuse. They're not allowed to ask you probing questions about what happened in your marriage, but instead their job is to make sure that you are otherwise admissible to the United States for a green card. So thus, for example, if you have any issues of fraud or other criminal history, they can ask you about that. They can ask for a waiver. They can decide the waiver. Also, if they might need to verify your identity, your address history, those sort of things. So they are not allowed to ask you about the abuse that you have suffered or any other probing questions about your marriage, unless you are asking for a waiver of the permanent bar. And at that point, they can try to see if you have a sufficient connection to the abuse and the entry or exit that triggers the permanent bar. Okay, so I hope that helps. But you always need to have an attorney with you, because what happens at a lot of these immigration interviews is that some officers may know what they're doing and other officers may not know what they're doing, or some officers, worse yet, might intentionally try to ask you things that they know that they're not supposed to. So the attorney's job is actually to help protect your interests in this interview. And, believe me, I have no problem sticking up at these interviews. I've been doing this for a long time. I've been on hundreds and hundreds of immigration interviews. And I've been on, I'm a lot more argumentative these days, I guess, but I know what's on the line, and I know that I want to protect my clients. So I'm not hesitating to speak up, to tell the officer what they're allowed to do and what they're not. Gabby, congratulations. You got a job on the spot. I'm so happy to hear that. Congratulations. How long does the I-130 take to approve for a minor child outside the US as a green card holder? So Natasha, the I-130 will still take about a year. And then if your child is outside the US, then you have to wait for the priority date. Right now, if you are a green card holder, I believe the priority date is current for your child. But if that priority date regresses or retrogresses, then you might have to wait, however long it takes until your priority date is current. It can take anywhere from 1 to 2 years, depending on that wait time. Hola, buenas tardes, Marco. Let's see. Someone says to say the number again. Okay, here's our telephone number. It is 212-248-7907. And if you're watching me on Instagram, you can actually go directly to the profile, and you'll see our number there as well. And you can also visit us on our website. If you're watching me on IG, you can also send us a DM if you have a question. I'm an international student here in the US. Is there any way for me to get a green card from Musa? Musa, the only ways are going to be is through family, or through a humanitarian petition like asylum or a T visa or a U visa, or if you have an employer who is willing to sponsor you for the appropriate visa type. And there are lots of different visa types, so I can't go into that right now. Can I extend the 10-year green card after the divorce from DB? And that is a really great question. So for those of you who are here on a 2-year green card, you get your 2-year green card because your marriage was less than 2 years at the time that you went for your interview, or at the time that you came to the US on your immigrant visa. But let's say your marriage doesn't work out and you get divorced. Can you still apply to remove the conditions by yourself? And the answer is yes. You can apply to remove the conditions on your card based upon divorce. However, you need to show good faith marriage. You need to show lots of evidence. And I definitely recommend to do this with an attorney so that you don't take any chances, because if there's not the right type of evidence, if there's not enough evidence, or there are other like red flags in your case, then you can definitely get an RFE or a request for an interview. And the problem with the I-751s is that if your I-751 is denied, then 90% of the time your case gets referred to court for removal proceedings, and then you have to go through a lot of additional steps at that point. So DB, you can give us a call at 212-248-7907 if you would like to make an appointment to evaluate your case. I'm from Afghanistan. I applied for asylum. We finished the interview. It's been more than 20 days, still waiting from Amir King. Amir King and all of my asylum applicants out there, when you have your interview these days, it is going to take you months to get your asylum decision. That's just the way that it is. They're sending out decisions by mail. I believe in a lot of my cases, we've waited up to 6 months to get a decision. Even though that there are approvals, it's still taking about 6 months to get the decision. So if it's only been 20 days since your interview, Amir, you need to have a little bit more patience, a lot more patience, and just keep on waiting, okay? But you'll find out. And good luck to you. When applying for VAWA, is it possible to travel out of the country from I am Paula? Paulara. Hi, Paula. So thank you for your question. So if you are filing for VAWA, is it possible for you to travel out of the country? And the answer is that it depends. If you are filing for an I-485 application to adjust status, then usually you can file your application for a advanced parole request so that you can get permission to be able to come back to the US. However, in some cases that may not get approved, especially if you are in removal proceedings. If you're in removal proceedings, you will not be approved for advanced parole because of the fact that you are already in proceedings. Now, the one place where this does not apply is if you have filed an I-751 and you're in removal proceedings, you are still considered a resident of the United States. You can travel, you can work, there's no problem for that. But if you're filing for the I-360 VAWA and you don't have a green card yet, then definitely you will not get approved for that. A friend of mine has the VAWA filed and has been waiting for approval since 2019. Is this time normal? From Mighty Demirtas. Mighty, yes, this is actually pretty normal. I would say these days the VAWA cases are taking anywhere from 1.5 to 3 years to get approved. It's actually quite normal, but if it's been filed in 2019, then I'm really hoping that your friend will hear something soon. Malcolm Dens, nice to see you. Aaron's Garment is saying, I have a Pearl. Can I travel with it because I have gone for my Stokes interview and I got a verbal approval, and until now, no decision has been made from Aaron's Garment. Aaron's Garment, I would not recommend that you travel until you get your approval. It's been approved verbally, but wait for the card. There's no point in leaving the US. You've had your interview, you don't have your decision yet. And if you travel because you just can't wait and you happen to get a denial while you're traveling, then you're going to have a lot of problems on your hands. So just wait till you get your decision and you'll be a lot less stressed out. A deferred action holder, DED. When do you think I will get my work permit? I applied in August. My case is being actively reviewed after biometrics. How long should I wait? From Christofina. Christofina, if you applied in August, most things are taking a long time. So for DED, I'm going to say that that's usually applied with at the field office, I believe, and you're probably going to wait. It really depends on your local field office that you're applying in. I hear that in some cases that you might be waiting more than a year for that. But good luck to you. Ivan Petrovich is saying, I have advanced parole based on TPS. I would like to adjust status through employment. Unfortunately, I overstayed my visa for more than 180 days. Is it true that I cannot overpass it going out? So Ivan, so if you are here on TPS, but you accrued unlawful presence before gaining TPS, you would not be able to adjust your status through your employer because because you're already out of status and you have unlawful presence. You could go out of the country, but you would need a waiver. And if you need a waiver, then you need to have a qualifying relative for that. And if you have a qualifying relative, then you might as well not even need your employer to help you with your case. I know it's a little bit of a roundabout answer, but usually the short answer is that if you're here on TPS, your status is expired, you already have unlawful presence, an employer is probably not going to help you get status. But every case is different, so you would need a consultation. Marco me dice, disculpe una pregunta más, ¿cuál es la mejor opción que tengo? ¿Me la puede describir, por favor? Marco, pienso que usted está hablando de cuáles opciones es mejor por usted para obteniendo un permiso, quizás. Marco, puede escribir más detalles, me va a ayudar para entender su pregunta. Most normally, what is the reason to deny a VAWA? From Andrew Lopez. Andrew, the denials that I have seen, not in my office, but people who come to me with denied cases for VAWA are usually, one, if somehow you were not free to marry, right? So let's say you were married before, but you did not get properly divorced. If you yourself did not get properly divorced before entering into your marriage, that may be, you can't prove that you're in a qualifying marriage to a U.S. citizen, right? The second is if you can't prove that you suffered extreme cruelty or battery. But usually when I see denied cases, they come to my office because a VAWA case was denied and they say that you don't have sufficient evidence or you couldn't prove that you suffered extreme cruelty or battery. That is usually because the attorneys before, I'm sorry to say, did not do a very good job in describing your case. So a prior denial for that is something that I would be happy to take a look at and overcome. Also, do remember that you do need to show shared residence in your case. So if you're doing it based upon marriage, you have to show that you lived with your husband or with your wife for any period of time during your relationship, either before marriage or after marriage. But those are the reasons, usually I would see that a case gets denied. And obviously, if you have anything in your case that's fraudulent or fake and they feel like you're lying, then that could obviously raise a lot of suspicions. But I don't think I've ever seen a case get outright denied for fraud. Like, they would actually have to have proof of that. But I wouldn't worry if you've been thinking about filing for VAWA, Andrew, and you are just worried. There's no point in worrying. I would say just take the leap of faith and give us a call, because it is our job to actually evaluate your case. It is our job to prepare your case so that it's as strong as possible. And we take a lot of time, we take a lot of care to make sure your affidavit is well written. I have high standards for that. So I would say call us, Andrew, 212-248-7907. How long after receiving your VAWA receipts will I get my approval letter? From Sasha Fabulous. Sasha Fabulous, VAWA applications are taking anywhere from 1.5 to 3 years to get approved. So you're probably going to wait a bit of time. Desde Alexander, buenas tardes. Después que inmigración recibe los documentos, ¿cuánto demora en llegar los primeros papeles? Alexander, depende de en cuál tipo de aplicación usted ha aplicado en su caso, porque en muchos casos es necesario para esperar desde el término del caso para recibir los papeles, pero en otros casos es posible para recibir papeles durante el caso, pero todo depende en cuál tipo de caso usted ha aplicado. My work permit expired in March of 2022. How can I renew from RegMe? RegMe, it really depends on your case. In a lot of cases, if your work permit has expired, you might need to just apply altogether for the type of case. If you have an ongoing VAWA application or an ongoing marriage case, you just simply reapply. I applied for VAWA 8 weeks ago. I don't get a receipt notice yet. From Gordon Latoya. Gordon, I understand, and I'm seeing that it's taking sometimes now like 2 months to 3 months to get receipts in your VAWA case, especially if you only file the I-360 by itself. Most of the times when you file the I-360 along with the I-485, you do get the receipts back just a little bit faster. I came in with a K1 visa, but in the end, we couldn't marry. What can I do? From G Tawose. G Tawose, and this is very important for all of my fiance visa applicants who come in. If you come in on a K1 fiance visa, but you don't get married to your spouse, you are going to be out of luck for a lot of cases. Even if you marry some other citizen or green card holder later, you're not going to be able to do an adjustment of status in the US. You would need to go outside and do a waiver, but we can always check to see if you're eligible for a T visa or a U visa or asylum. These are all cases that we would have to ask you questions about. That would not require you to get married to somebody again. It would also not require you to leave the US. Marco, espero que he contestado su pregunta bien. Can I travel to Nigeria with my parole because my case is taking forever for approval from Aaron's Garment? Aaron's Garment, so here's the thing. When it comes to advanced parole and traveling, it depends, right? You can travel, but I always caution people to be cautious nowadays, especially if I'm seeing, if you already had the I-485 in process and you come to us to do a VAWA, for example, I would say what I'm seeing now is that there could be a chance that your I-485 gets denied even after you get your advanced parole. even after there's been some time. So you really want to be careful and always talk to your lawyer before traveling. Can I apply for human trafficking after 4 years of staying in the US from Das Papa? Das Papa, yes. If you have been the victim of trafficking in the US, it doesn't matter if your trafficking happened 20 years ago or last year. There's no time limit. You simply have to show that why you're still in the US. Usually the trafficking is a part of it. So we explain that through your affidavit, and it's not always an issue. All right, everyone. So that's all the time that I have for today. Thank you so much for joining. If you have any questions, make sure you can send us a DM. Make sure you share my videos. And if you have any questions, save them for the next time that I'm on live. I'll do my best to answer them in the time that I have. Meanwhile, I'm wishing everyone to have a safe and happy and healthy night. If you're losing hope out there because of your case, just remember it's not always lost. So if there's anything that I spoke about today that gives you a feeling of hope and relief, then that's probably your sign that you should give us a call, okay? I don't want you to sit out there losing time, having your children taken away from you, having your immigration status held over your head by the person you married, when instead you could actually be applying by yourself to get that security for yourself, okay? Everyone have a good night. My name is Mamita Rahman, and you can call us at 212-248-7907. God bless.